Dear Mama, you have so many questions, but not enough answers. You wish you didn't have to ask, and that's why I'm writing you this letter. You're not alone, you're not crazy, and I hope this helps. I see you because I am you. Sincerely, Mama. Right now is my favorite part. She is going to lead us into a art prompt, and I'm just excited. So I'm going to get ready.
Yes.
And then,
shall I list the materials needed if anyone listening would want to follow along? So I like to keep sorry.
I said you can take the floor.
Okay, so I like to keep my materials accessible, especially in my virtual groups. I'm not coming in where everyone has to have a huge array of art supplies. So simply any tool that creates color, and it could be your kids' crayons, it could be something fancier. Maybe it's a chance to treat yourself. Actually, that could be something that could be a great form of self-care. Maybe you get those nice markers that you always wanted, or those paints. And then some paper, and then scissors, glue or tape, and any other art supply you might want to explore with, but you can just stick with those. So we're going to and a pen or a pencil. So we're going to just start with the piece of paper and pen or pencil.
Okay.
Yes. So this prompt, and what I'm going to do in this little, I guess we'll call it like a demo kind of, or this experiential, is I'm going to talk a little bit through it so that you can see a little bit more of the intention behind each of these steps. So it's not going to look quite like a therapy session because this is more educational and hopefully allows people to try this at home. But it is very powerful in a therapeutic setting and with a professional who can dive into your specific season in life and walk you through what you're particularly going through. So this is going to be centered around anxiety, but it can involve any feelings of depression or sadness as well. Remember too, as humans, we all experience sadness and we all experience anxiety. I remember back in the day, I felt insulted if someone mentioned that I looked like I had some anxiety. And I laugh at that now because I'm like, that's what it means to be human, is to fall on the spectrum of anxiety. Also, people be hating on anxiety, but it's out here to keep us safe and sometimes to even excite us. It shows us when something's important. Mm-hmm. Of course, sometimes it needs to take a seat. So right. This is part of it, is acknowledging what it's trying to tell us and noticing what serves us, what's within our control and what's not within our control and therefore doesn't serve us. Again, that naming it to tame it kind of action. I don't know if you've heard me use this metaphor before, Jackie, but I kind of imagine it like us driving a car and our anxiety, maybe also depression, those uncomfortable emotions are like kids in the back of the car yelling, trying to get our attention. And we're just trying to drive the car. We're just trying to keep going through life. And if we keep ignoring the kids, to be honest, we may be more prone to getting into an accident. We're not going to be able to drive that car as efficiently. So really, if the kids are going crazy in the back, the anxiety, the depression, any uncomfortable emotion is just begging for your attention, pull over, turn around, look it in the eye. What do you need? Noticing your anxiety. What are you trying to tell me? Noticing your depression. What do you need? I know this is hard for you right now. You're going through a hard time. Or I realize that you want baby to be safe and healthy, and that causes anxiety. Just noticing it is very important. And actually then, and just like in that car metaphor, the kids will more likely actually be quiet and you'll be able to continue driving the car. We have to pull over. So it's kind of us pulling over right now. And again, you don't have to have postpartum depression or anxiety to benefit from something like this. I think it can be a good tune-up at any point in time. So what I'm going to invite you to do, it's kind of a two-parter, is, and we're going to keep this a little more abbreviated too for the sake of time, but I'm going to give you a minute to write down all the things that are causing you anxiety or sadness, any uncomfortable emotion. You're not going to read it out. You're not going to show it to anyone. So I'd encourage you to be as honest as you can. This is a chance to enact externalizing heavy emotions. Another reason I love art therapy. Takes it from up here and in here, and it gets it out, literally. Sometimes doing that can give us a perspective and a vantage point to see it on a page as opposed to keeping it in here. It can also act as a holding space. You can put these things down, you can write them down, but also we'll keep it within a certain time frame so that, it doesn't overwhelm us. I'll give you a little more time. Look at my clock. And also a great chance to practice that deep breathing, right? So you feel done right now with the list?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as you look at what you've written, practice that deep breathing. Actually, even using the diaphragm can be helpful. That literally slows the nervous system down. Maybe even in your head, saying, I see you, I notice you, you are not me. These worries, these hard emotions are not you, but they are things that are important to you. And some of these things do need to lead to important actions. Some of these things need to be silenced, need to be put down. This is a chance to provide compassion and enact some wisdom. The next step is going to be tearing up this piece of paper now that we've acknowledged it. So notice we didn't just rush into getting rid of it. We noticed it, but now we're in the act of transforming it. I want you to keep all the pieces of paper though, because that's part of life, right? It's like, you can't just like burn it and it's gone and poof, we're happy, right? It's about the transformation, the process, the coping, taking a reframe, a different perspective. So the next part, and you can decide if you want to tear up more, depending on how you feel and what you want to do, is it's a little bit open-ended because I do like to see where the art chooses to take you as opposed to me telling you exactly what to do. But I am here for more guidance if you need. I invite you to use your torn pieces of paper and now to invite external resources in, like maybe those scissors or the tape or glue or the color tool of your choice and any other art material you may have or want to use. And I would encourage you to create an image using these torn pieces of paper that represent hope and life to you. So this action here is to remind us that sometimes, actually, and almost all the time, we need to bring in outside resources, right? So what's our community? What are things that we can do to practice healthy self-care? What are things we can bring in to help us transform or to cope with our anxiety? So think of a symbol, maybe something in nature, maybe just an abstract image, something that represents hope for you. Art therapy is about that process over the product. So thinking in terms of line, shape, color is simply all you have to do. It's a little bit like jumping off into the deep end sometimes because there's not a lot of direction, but that's all the beauty. Also the beauty of it is that it allows you space to play and to explore and to make marks that are valuable just because they're yours, not because they're producing. It's bringing us back to a place of being over doing. So I'll give you a couple minutes to create this art. Oftentimes I like to play some calm music during this time, something to help you drop into your body and to be in a reflective state. Do we feel like music would work over the speakers? Should we try it or nah?
You can. I'm not sure how it'll pick up.
Okay. Here, I'll try it and you tell me if it's a no-go.
Okay. I'll watch your bar.
Good. You can take as long as you want, Jackie. I'll just let me know when you feel finished.
Okay. I think I'm done.
Okay. Sometimes simply holding space for someone creating art can be very powerful too. We watch our kids do things all the time, and to allow someone to watch us and witness us in a safe way can be very healing just in itself.
Right.
Either in an individual therapy session or in a group therapy session. I also love that, by the way, because sometimes people like to chat during groups. Sometimes they don't. And either way, creating together kind of eases the vibe.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we'd love to see what you created and just hear anything you want to share about it. And thanks for being up to do that.
Of course. So let me tape them to the paper so I can hold it up. So I started with 4 things. I could have named a million, right? But I narrowed it down to 4.
Yeah.
And I wrote the loss of pop, of course.
Yeah.
I did perfection, did deadlines, and then I did the unknown.
Yeah.
And so I ripped them, but when I ripped them, I didn't rip through them so you can still see what I wrote. And then when I cut, for perfection, I cut through it. So I don't know if you can.
Yes.
If it'll focus. But so you can barely see the word. Because perfection, I've found, is not really a real thing. So it's like striving for something that is not really ever going to happen.
Yeah.
But I still find myself doing so. So that's why I kind of just ripped it apart. And for the loss of pop, I did a heart. Just because we still feel him, we still love him, and then we still have an opportunity to express the love that he's shown or expressed towards us.
Yeah.
Or unknown, I did this weird shape just because it's kind of fun, right? So while we don't know what it is, it could still be fun. It could still be weird. You know, I've been using that word. It can be weird, but it could also work for us. So not having to know, or not having to have all the answers or have all the details, but opening yourself up to the fun part of it. Yeah. So maybe the unknown, not looking at it as scary, but opening or welcoming the fun part. Yeah. And then I did deadlines, and I did this weird thing. I don't know what I did here. Because maybe just like taking strides and like pacing myself, and then realizing that it's going to be different, and that I just have to pace myself. Like, deadlines are not going to go away. People still are going to set them. I'm still going to set them. There's still going to be dates and deadlines for everything.
Yeah.
But just pacing myself.
Yeah.
So that was my little creation.
How does it feel to take what was in here and get it out onto a page and like use your hands to work with it? I mean, it was simple. It's not like we had to do a huge pottery class or like a big painting, but just that simple act that honestly anyone can do in their own home. Like, how was it for you to take that intentional moment?
Great, especially as a mom, like things are just always going, or getting to the next task or doing the next thing for somebody else.
Yes.
So I think it was great to kind of slow down and process what it is that I'm experiencing. So even when you asked the question, or when you directed me to write down the things that maybe are causing anxiety, it was almost like, anxiety is there, but not taking the time to process, okay, where is it coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was good to just pause and figure out, okay, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
So that was a breath of relief, like, okay, now it makes sense. It's not just I don't want to experience this, but there's a reason for this.
You're pointing to a big thing about art therapy too, which is externalizing those things can also make them feel more manageable. Right. It's like, okay, I'm seeing this. I'm taking time to see what is it trying to say, and does it need anything? What can I do? What are the different sides of this that I can acknowledge? And I noticed with each piece that you worked with, you notice the different sides. And that's really important because that's the truth of life, right? Like, for example, with deadlines, they're kind of harsh, like those lines. It's like facts of life that, like, I don't care, boo. You got to get stuff done. And that's how it goes. But also, it's kind of part of a rhythm. Like, it also has this mountainous, like graph-like figure to it that reminds us of the rhythm, and it kind of keeps us going too, and it helps us progress. And the perfectionist drive that is kind of driving towards something that's unrealistic is also a drive that can be helpful to helping you to get what you want and desire, and helping you understand what's good for you and maybe what isn't, but also where it needs to take a seat and where it's unrealistic. It's, I think it can be helpful to take those moments and to just take a look at things and breathe through it. I'm glad you're up for it.
Oh yes. It's like a free therapy session. So I was definitely up for it. And you are always so great. That's why they need to book you, and she's going to give you her information at the end. But you are always so great at interpreting the way that people process, or the way that people create. And so, like, while we're doing it, it can seem like, oh, I'm just doing this, or, oh, this is what I feel like doing. And then you kind of bring revelation or insight to what it looks like, or maybe what it's being expressed as. So I always appreciate your expertise, your gift.
Yeah, I'm holding back a little bit this time because respecting you and also your time, but it is true. I think in sessions, as Jackie has been talking about, things can come out that are very profound I'm a firm believer in the client being the director. Just because I'm a therapist and an art therapist doesn't mean I know what's in your head, does not mean I'm interpreting art and saying that this is how it goes. If anything, it's just sometimes prompting me to ask some more questions and find out more and see where that leads us. But oftentimes it brings up things that clients did have going on that they didn't quite realize that maybe they wanted to talk about. But like I said, I won't know anything without your permission. Because I remember like when I was in grad school and I was doing my own therapy and prep for this work, I remember I was like, I don't know if I want to reveal that yet. And that's okay. Like that, you are still in the driver's seat in that way. And I have a lot of respect for clients and their consent and all of those things. But it is amazing the things that can come out if you're open to it. And even if it's little things and the hope it can provide. I did have something in the back of my mind. I when you were talking about the unknown.
Yes.
You kept talking about, and a word that came to mind that I just wanted to share with you is possibility. Like possibility is so abundant and is so, can be so exciting, and kind of the reframe on that, right? Like unknown is scary, but also how many things are possible. And I mean, unknown is also where hope lives, right? Like it's not in the known, it's in the hope for possibility and for more. Reminds me of our thing with patience too, to come full circle to that. It's like, to the mom out there that needs this, there's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and things will change and get better. And it's kind of crazy because like yesterday can feel a lot like today, but things are totally shifting and no time is wasted, even when it feels like you're on rinse and repeat mode and it's hard.
Right. I think that's a great place for you to encourage the mom that might be smack dab in the middle of postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety. What would you say to her as a therapist and as a mom friend? Encourage her.
Yeah. As a mom, I would say, I get it. It's hard. What we're doing is kind of crazy. It is a divine task. And because of that, it is so important, but also because of that, we deserve and need help and support, and we can't do it alone. I would say I'm proud of you for showing up. It's a job you can't quit, right? No matter exactly. Just clap. Honestly, I probably just I'm proud of you for showing up, because again, it really isn't a job. It's not a job you can quit. And there have been moms that have tried to quit in so many ways, but at the end of the day, they're still a mom. And if you're waking up and you're taking care of your kids, I'm proud of you. And it's hard to show up. As a therapist, I would encourage that mom to get help. And just remember that a therapy session can just feel like a calming, safe, non-judgmental space that you get to direct, right? It's like, my therapeutic style is that I'm curious about what the client wants, what their goals are. And from there, we collaborate on goals together and how we want to meet those goals. So the sessions are directive, they're productive. It's not just someone talking the whole time, but it's also clients in the driver's seat. Like, we can go how far you want to, how deep you want to, or not. Remember that think of it more like lavishing yourself and treating yourself honestly. It can be so, again, like therapy isn't always easy, but it's so important. And it's so normal to need help. We've all been there. And also, you don't have to go to therapy even if you don't have postpartum anxiety or depression. Like, it's just a great habit. It's important to be talking to someone and working things out.
Absolutely. Julia, you have been amazing. Do you have any last remarks?
It's a sign of strength to reach out for help. It really is. I'm proud of you. Mamas out there. It's an honor to be in this boat with you, Jackie. And again, thank you so much for having me in this space.
Thank you.
If anyone would like to join a virtual group, or if you're in Dallas, Texas, and you want to go to an in-person group, I'd love to have you if that would serve you at this time. Yeah, it'd be good to have people. And if you feel like you want that help or want to try out art therapy, I'm here.
So how can they connect with you, Julia? Give them a website or a IG handle. How can they reach out?
Yes. Good question. So I'm doing most of my stuff on Instagram these days. I having a third baby, I'm not posting as much as I would like, but I am holding groups and I post info on there. So my next virtual art therapy group, and actually the first one since I've had this baby, because I've been doing in-person ones, but I'm reawakening the virtual ones, is going to be April 6th. And it's going to be 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So hopefully kids are in bed, or you can get a little support so that you can attend the group. We have had moms who have been on the call and then had kids around them if they need. But if you can set aside that time for yourself, please do. And if you want to register for that group, space is limited because we get to share a little bit and we have some art making time. So let me know if you want to join. If you'd like to, you can email me at calmtogether.therapy@gmail.com, or you can DM me at my Instagram, which is calmtogether. And I also have a link in bio on my Instagram to register for the group there too. So, yeah, we'd love to have you. And I also do individual therapy virtually and in person as well. So if you're wanting something more on your own, and I do little packages as well if you want to kind of have a series and just put that in place for some self-care. I would be honored to walk with you in that space.
And they are so awesome. I've done a few group sessions, and then I also had an individual session. Julia is really gifted at what she does, so you're going to want to use that contact info and contact her. Sign up for the April class. I'm going to have all the details in the description box. But Julia, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Fridays are so much better with you. We will see you next time. Sincerely, Mama. Thank you so much for joining us. If you found this episode helpful, do me a favor and share it with another mama. Subscribe to this podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Also, connect with us on all social media platforms at Sincerely Mama Podcast. Remember, you're the best mama for your children. We'll see you next time. Sincerely, Mama.